Okay, once you have finished practicing your stitches, then you are ready to progress on to the project. And what we're going to do is we're going to be making some type of stuffed owls. This is the some that students have made, and this shows the essential parts that you will need, and you'll have your pattern. You can go a little more elaborate and add clothing to the owl. This one has a fabric skirt in addition to the pieces. This student actually created a suit and tie and some extra buttons on it. So in your packet you should have a pattern that will look like this, and you will first need to cut out these pattern pieces separately. Once you've done that, then you will start with the body, and it says cut 2. That means you need 2 pieces cut out like this. In your packets you will have one large piece of felt, and this is to be used for the body. Now, one of the mistakes that people make is to start with their pattern piece and put it on their large piece of felt and then just kind of stick it in the middle, and then you don't have room for your second one. So what I suggest is that you fold it in half, and then make sure that you will be able to get 2 on this. If we were in the classroom, I would give you pins to pin the pattern piece onto the fabric. That's how most sewing projects are made. If you don't have any sewing pins to pin it, then you can trace and then cut out the lines with that. If you do have straight pins like that, what you would do is you would place the pin in the pattern piece and go all the way through to the fabric, and then bring it through the back side to the front again. That will hold it secure, and you would need to put another pin here and maybe another pin here. And so with the 3 pins, that would hold the pattern to the fabric, and it would go through both sides and keep it secure while you cut it out. Or you can cut one at a time. If you are tracing and cutting one piece at a time, again, be sure that you conserve room and put one on this side and then scoot it over and trace one on that side. The reason you're cutting 2 is you're going to have a front and you're going to have a back. The same thing will be true with the wings. You will need to cut 2 of those. You have some smaller scrap pieces of felt like this, and your wing pattern will fit on that, then you can cut that out. You can choose whatever color. You can do different colors, the same color, but you will need 2 wings, and then you will need 2 of the eye pieces. Typically they are done in white, as in here. And so you just need to cut 2 circles out. Once you've cut it out, look at it and make sure it kind of looks circular. You may need to trim it up a little bit once your pieces are cut. And then the last thing you need to do is to cut a triangle for a nose. I kind of drew that on your pattern to remind you. However, you don't really need a pattern. You can just eyeball it. This owl, where'd the one go, kind of has more of a rounded nose. You can create whatever kind of nose you want. I just figure a triangle is pretty simple, and just cut a triangle that will work for the nose. And so then you should have all of your pieces cut out. If you want to do any additional pieces, like say you have extra fabric and you want to create some clothes, you could cut out those pieces as well. One student made glasses to sew around the eyes. You want to create however you want to do it. So once your pieces are cut, then we will begin with sewing the pieces one at a time to the front of the owl. Another mistake that students make is they take both the front and the back piece and they begin to stitch the wings and eyes onto both pieces, and that will have to cause you to start over. You put the pieces inside your bag once you have them cut out, and take them out as you need them. And I will show you how to start that. Okay, so now I have my pieces cut out, and so I will have 1, 2 front and back, and then I'll have the wings. Whoops, cut the paper on. Cut 2 wings, and then the eye circles and buttons. And so set one of these pieces aside so that you don't sew the front to the back just yet, and then take the other one, this will be your front, and then begin to sew the pieces onto it. You can start with the eye circle and just find where you want it. If you feel like it's too big, you can make it smaller. Look at your pieces to make sure that there are no jagged edges. Like sometimes when you're cutting it out, if your scissors are terrible, you want to even those pieces out so that they are even before you get started. You will be sad to know, because we're not in the classroom, all of my sewing scissors I just sharpened and they're amazing. One of the frustrations is trying to cut out things and not having sharp scissors. If you just have paper scissors that cut paper, then it dulls them and it makes it difficult to cut the felt, but hopefully you'll be able to cut out things. All right, so then you would start with wherever piece you want with just one, the front, and then attach it, and then thread your needle, and then you're going to do that little straight stitch or back stitch and start on the back side of the fabric with your needle, going through and tie it in a knot, and you'll start on the back side. I can't find the camera. Go through, and then on the very close to the edge you want to make very small stitches in uniform, and so they should be like 1/4 of an inch stitch, and so you'll just go all the way around making a little stitch all the way around, sewing one piece at a time onto the front. That didn't turn out very straight because I can't see. And so you'll just make little tiny stitches. If you make ginormous stitches, then it will easily pull out. And so you want them even, you want them neat, you want them to go all the way around, sewing until this piece is completely sewed on, doing small little stitches like that. Once you've sewed this on, the eye circle, then you will attach a button to the center of it. I gave you several buttons. So then attach that. If you run out of thread, rethread tie it off on the back side, which is the back side, and then rethread your needle and start. You can keep going from one piece to the next if you have a lot of thread. You don't have to tie off every piece. So say I finish this and I want to move down here to the wing, then I could just go from the back to the front on that side. So what you will do is just sew each piece one piece at a time using very small even stitches until all the pieces are attached on the front, and you have a completed front. Today you can just do a few pieces a day if you like, and then by the end of the week you should have them all sewed on, and the very last step is to sew the front to the back. So here would be a completed front like I showed you before. All the pieces are sewed on with small stitches. These wings I chose to extend off the side of the owl, and I think it looks good if you continue the stitching all the way around so that it looks even. You have stitching on this side, and so you would need to do stitches all the way around. But then that leaves you the front, and then the back side of the front you can see where all the knots and the stuff is. So you would take your back and attach it to your front and sew those together, but you need to leave an opening for the stuffing. So you would start here, be sure you put the knot on the inside and do tiny little stitches all the way around, and then stop on the other side here, leave an opening at the bottom, and then you will take your stuffing and stuff all the way to the top. Once it's stuffed, then you will sew the bottom together, and then you'll have a nice little owl that you can send me a picture of and tell me how it turned out. And so my plan is that you will work on this throughout the week. Most classes are to be 15 minutes or so. Again, if you have a lot of time and you want to get it done quickly, you can, or do a few pieces, attach a few pieces to your front sewing each day. Is kind of what I planned. Do a few pieces today and then a few more pieces tomorrow, finishing the front, and then the last day you can sew the front to the back. Good luck with that, and I look forward to seeing how yours turn out.